Smart 24, driving business.
Before we head into sports business, just to quickly remind you that your investment journey should definitely kickstart off with Zabo. Zabo, which is a platform by Alltech East Africa, says no hassle by just using the USSD code *292# and following the prompt, you can quickly open up an account if you're yet to open up and get one. And that is something you should quickly think about. That *292#, use your NIN to register, and in the next 24 hours you'll be ready to invest. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you can easily invest and seek out for investment knowledge with any government bond and security. So it is that simple and that possible with Zabo, which is a platform by Alltech East Africa. Zabo says my money, my future. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and do close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. They only close during weekends and during public holidays. And as we speak now, the markets on the Zabo platform are already open. Just a notification on my phone clearly shows that I'm ready to keep on investing. Now, we head into sports business this morning. Pretty much a time that we should be proud that we are alive. Over the weekend, the round of the last 8 in the World Cup did kickstart off on Friday, where the favourites Brazil was shocked by Croatia in the penalty shootout. And it's not only that, late in the night, a mouth-watering encounter between Argentina and the Netherlands saw the Dutch lose on penalties after a fantastic comeback late in added minutes to beat that particular extra time. Well, besides that, as we head into the situation of looking at sports business now, Morocco over the weekend became the first ever African nation to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup. What does this mean to Africa? It means a lot. Africa had only 4 times of seeing teams reach the quarterfinals, and of which the last edition of an African team reaching the quarterfinals was in 2010, when Ghana reached the quarterfinals only to lose out to Uruguay. Well, apparently Morocco becoming the first African country to reach the semi-finals, having defeated Portugal in a 1-0 defeat on Saturday evening. Well, speaking of which, one may ask, where does this come from? We've been seeing all these discussions about how Morocco has been able to play world-class football. Well, surprisingly, the Morocco Football Federation doesn't take investment in football unserious. They are taking it very seriously. Now, the Mohammed VI football complex that you are definitely seeing currently is a facility that was constructed way back, and it cost around 140 million Moroccan dirhams. Now, this is approximately $14 million at that time of the construction. The Royal Moroccan Football Federation should also be credited with the Atlas Lion success at Qatar 2022. Now, after decades of football mediocrity, the federation, with the backing of King Mohammed VI, decided to overhaul the nation's football structure. When you look at that, in 2009, the Morocco Football Federation opened its National Football Academy, the Mohammed VI Football Academy, which helped develop current international players like Naif Agad and Yusuf N. Nesseri, as well as trying to unearth talent in the Moroccan diaspora by employing scouts from across Europe to flag any illegible youth player in Europe. The federation also began investing in women's football, developing football in schools and clubs, as well as creating a national league structure funded by the Morocco Football Federation. Now, Morocco is currently the only nation in the world to have 2 tiers of women's football that are both fully professional. The crown jewel of Morocco's football investment is Mohammed VI Football Complex, just outside Rabat, the capital. Now, the training complex contains 4 5-star hotels, 8 FIFA standard pitches, one of which is indoor in a climate-controlled building, as well as a medical facility that includes a dentist. Now, on the other hand, the investment over the last decade has begun to pay off, as you can see the result on the big stage. For the first time in history, The Moroccan clubs are the holders of the Men's and Women's African Champions League titles, as well as the Men's Confederations Cup and Africa's Europa League. Now, Morocco is also the African Nations Championship champion, a continental tournament where nations put out teams exclusively featuring players who play domestically, while the women's team came second in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations earlier this year and qualified for its first World Cup. Morocco's success at the World Cup may be the best story of the tournament so far, but it's not the result of luck and grit, but rather expertise and planning. So you can easily see that these are not things that are just happening abruptly, and they shouldn't surprise you. The Moroccan government has invested heavily the last decade in football to ensure that the Moroccans become very professional. Now, that is a facility that is on a world-class level. Not only does it have all those world-class pitches, but also medical facilities and also fitness training centers. So most of the players have been going through every other sector in there. There is also academies that are being developed at the same complex, the Mohammed VI complex in Rabat. So you can see now Morocco not only has it improved and has it impressed at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, being the only team to concede only one goal in the World Cup football. So you can easily see that the team has tremendously developed, but not only that, it should go back to how the government has heavily invested into the sports sector. And it's actually challenging to the other governments within the African region. And of course, we continue to say kudos to Morocco's football team, the Atlas Lions, for making Africa proud, as well as the Arab community. Now, besides that, as we sum up with sports business, we head to the southern part of Africa. As South Africa's premium soccer league, that is the PSL, has launched domestic rights tender for the 2024 to 2029 cycle. South Africa's premier soccer league has launched an invitation to tender for media rights across sub-Saharan Africa for all its competition from the period of 2024 to 2025 to 2028 to 2029. Now, the interested parties have been given a deadline of 5 p.m. South African time on December 19th, whereupon negotiations with preferred bidders will open. The tender covers rights across all platforms, and that will clearly see one of Africa's most prestigious leagues having a new league broadcast partner. Well, when you look at that, the media tenders currently owned by DStv Smb-Sports, and of course South Africa's PSL creating room for other bidders to come in, to launching a bid to see other people competing to have the rights for broadcasting their league. Well, the current champions of the South Africa's PSL are Mamelodi Sundowns, which also do have Uganda national and international former captain Dennis Masinde Onyango, and we do have quite a number of Ugandans trading their plight in the South Africa's Premier Soccer League. And so that comes in at a time when you quickly look at that. That was an invitation launched to tender for media rights across the sub-Saharan Africa for all its competitions. Now, this is for the period from 2024 to 2029. That is South Africa for you. Now, switching off to the other sports business, we sum it up with what is coming in from UEFA, that is the European Confederation for the Football Association contingents. And speaking of which, UEFA has now added Atos as a top-tier national team sponsor. UEFA has signed up digital transformation specialist Atos as a sponsor of its men's national team competitions. Now, the 8-year contract, which sees Atos join UEFA's top tier as a national team football sponsor, will run until 2030 and includes sponsorship of the men's editions of competitions including the European Championship, Nations League finals, European qualifiers, and under-21 championship and the futsal Euro. So as you can see, that is what UEFA intends to have with that particular ATSO in regards to sponsorship of the men's section of football. UEFA Euro does continue in 2024, and the host nation for that particular edition of Euro will be Germany, and it is slated to start 14th June, that same year of 2024. The current holders of the UEFA Euro are Italy, who won against England last year in Wembley after a successful penalty shootout. And that is it for UEFA. Well, of course, if you're to look at the only European teams left in the competition of the World Cup are only two, Croatia and France, who are last edition is finalists and are still in the semi-final this time around. The other competitors include Morocco from Africa as well as Argentina from South America. And that is it for sports business. As now let's turn our eyes to entertainment business with Bridget Andrew, who is already here this Monday morning to give us more of the details coming in from that space of entertainment in business. Good morning, Andrew. How is your morning and how was the weekend? What do you have for us this morning?
Well, actually, first of all, the morning has been a little bit tricky. That cold, that flu, I'll be fine. But then the weekend, what really made my weekend, I'll say, was the aspect of Morocco. Of course, making record,
Yeah.
That was something very, very, very interesting. I mean, the first African country
to actually make it to the semi-finals.
And I was really bothered by people who were, okay, I know you're fans of Cristiano Ronaldo, but man, this is Africa. This is about nationalism, it's about patriotism. And I was very saddened by the people that really felt sad by the leaving of Portugal in that case. But that was quite the highlight of the weekend for me. I'm not a football fan as such, but that was very outstanding.
Okay. What should we expect from this entertainment business this morning from you this day?
Yeah, today, of course, every Monday, I made it the purpose to ensure that I give you all the movies that are grossing over the weekend. We do a sum up of the week. Like, remember, theaters worldwide showcase these movies, and every week there is a figure that comes out regarding what movie is making which money, which movie is topping the charts, getting that. And also, we have something from Elton John, who says, actually, he left Twitter and is joining a list of other notable Hollywood artists that are leaving Twitter. But then the question here is, where is this leaving the platform? Is it going to be a marketable place for new artists that are putting out their music out there to sell it to the platform? Okay, at this particular time, let's get straight to the business and entertainment. And I'm going to start with the departure of Elton John from Twitter, and of course joining the list of other notable artists to leave the platform. And that is quite something very, very remarkable. That's when it comes to marketing music, because quite so many artists are using this platform to market music. How? Because remember, if you're a new artist and probably you have your Spotify, you have your Tidal, you have your Apple Music. Of course, majority of the people may not be in position to get straight to that because some of the people may not be really familiar with that, and some of the people may not be in position to really know you, because when they go to the Apple Music, there are quite lots of lists which are right there, and sometimes there is quite lots of competition in there. But when you pass through Twitter and you post your Spotify link right there, somebody can easily tap into that, and they will be in position to get money, like to buy your song and stream it at a certain fee. So Elton John deciding to leave is a little bit going to cost a new generation of artists. And of course, he came up and said that he's attributing these to misinformation that is going on Twitter. And of course, this has been faced ever since Elon Musk came and took over the social media platform regarding that aspect. And that is causing quite lots of controversies over so many people in terms of how best they can really put the music in there to promote it. So you get to understand that. Can I say that Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter is affecting, of course, the music industry in a way of earning revenues? Because recently we also saw that Kanye West was suspended regarding that, and of course now Elton John. But now I'm trying to bring it back to our artists in Africa at the same time. If this site that seemed like the social media platform that we really looked up to as, of course, as different people, as a strategy of promotion, if the big wigs, the flag bearers, are taking this decision of vacating this, what does it put up? What does it portray for the industry in this regard? So you get to see that it puts the industry at a very, very, very dangerous place. Now, according to a report here which says that Elton John joining a list of notable Hollywood figures leaving Twitter. That's following Elon Musk's takeover. That's on the social media platform. Of course, the Rocketman singer who joined in August 2010 had about 1.1 million followers, and of course claims his reason for leaving is due to misinformation, of course, being allowed to spread. He came up and made a statement here and said that all my life have tried to use music to bring people together, yet it saddens me to see how misinformation is now being used to divide our world. And of course, John tweeted on Friday and he said, I've decided to no longer use Twitter, given their recent change in policy, which will allow misinformation to flourish unchecked. And of course, John did not elaborate further on the change policy. That's in a November update regarding that matter. And Twitter also announced that the platform was no longer enforcing, of course, the COVID-19 misleading policy. So you get to see and understand where this is heading, you know, because this was a very popular site for any artist. It was coming up, you know, in terms of people getting to reach out to your music and they can purchase it. Like I told you earlier, if you're a new artist, you're going to be required to at least use this platform to share where people can access your music from. Twitter will be much more easy than you posting your SoundCloud link straight away, your Spotify link straight away, you know. And in that regard, people will be in position to know you as a new artist and also purchase your music that's at the same time. So where does this leave the new artists in the future, or probably 2 years from now, if the rate at which the remarkable people are leaving Twitter is really increasing? What left for the platform regarding that? So you get to understand what is really transpiring. That is quite very tricky for the industry at large. Remember, in most cases, what we call the big wigs, what direction they take will always be, they will influence masses on that. So that means, and as they influence masses, the new artists that are trying to come and also gain that influence are losing that in that regard. So so probably I could advise a new artist right there to try to see how best, try to engage in different platforms to see that you can promote your music right there to increase on your revenues, because sometimes there are changes in the environment and they are unavoidable. So it's always good to adjust your game. Don't look onto just one platform to sell your music right there. Okay, because we don't know what the future calls for. Now, away from that, we come to wrap up this as we look at the grossing movies as for the weekend of 9th to 11th of December. Now, what were those movies that were taking the lead, of course, in the theaters? Remember, every week I'll be bringing you the latest movie reviews, getting to understand which movie is making more money and why could it be the reason it's making that money, and of course quite lots of aspects in that regard. Now, coming as number one for the list this week is the Black Panther. Of course, or what we know, the Wakanda Forever. It's been dominating. It's now quite so many weeks the charts, and the last week the movie made about 11.1 million US dollars, and so far it has grossed 409.8. That's the compound gross. You get to see that. That's in a space of 5 weeks, 409.8 million US dollars. So that's the movie right there that has really gotten people's attention regarding that. And yeah, so coming though, I will say that I said earlier that if you're to compare the first Black Panther, it was a little bit, it was selling a little bit. It sold, by this time it had already made about 800 million and above US dollars. So there has been quite a slight increase in revenue for movies. We are trying to adjust back to the world, to the world how it was back. So you get to understand that's what is really there. So 409 gross. Now, come number two was the movie called Violent Night. So far, over the weekend, it grossed over 8.7 million. That's US dollars. Yeah, over the weekend. So that's we are talking about theaters worldwide. and that's Violent Night for you there. And the gross, the compound gross, so far it has grossed 20, well that's in 2 weeks, and this is in 2 weeks so far it has grossed 26.7 million. So it's quite a little bit slight increase. Then Strange World still in the top 3, and actually for the 3 weeks I've been doing this, Strange World has been a part, of course, of these movies that are grossing, that are making money, you know. An animation right there. Personally, I'm not really a fan of animations, but actually this is quite a very interesting one. Probably if you could check it out, and it's really making quite lots of money. The funny thing, over the weekend it only made $2 million. Very interesting. And the gross total, that's for 3 weeks, was 17. Was 30. That's 3 weeks, $30.3 million. So you get to understand how. Then we have the menu coming number 4. Of course, over the weekend it grossed over 2.7 million, and of course with a total gross of 4 weeks coming to 29.4. And then Devotion, that movie Devotion, comes number 5 in the top 5 grossing movies, and of course having a touch of the World War, you know, a very interesting story. And I'll tell the movie makers out there is a secret about making movies based on real events, events that really transpire within the science society. Now, coming back to the movie, that's the movie makers in Uganda. That is something to really take into great consideration there, because you'll be able to portray out the culture right there, and this is, you know, a real story right there, and it's grossing quite big. Number 5 with 2.0, that's million US dollars. Sorry. Okay, and of course that's it for the business and entertainment this morning, and that's how you see things are transpiring in there. The movies that are really grossing out big over the weekend, and of course, as we really see, there are quite slight revenues observed as compared to when the theaters had just been opened. All right, back to you, John, regarding this matter.
All right. Marija Andrew in there giving us more of the highlights from the situation. Every time I look at you talking about the grossing movies,
Yeah.
I'm highly looking at how Ugandan or maybe African movies, besides the ones that are written behind having storylines of Africa, but mainly those that are made by African producers, also hitting the top 10 or maybe the top 20, you never know. I still want to understand, where is the challenge of us having our movies sold off? Do we have unlikable characters in our storylines, or do we need to rebrand our movies? Because I'm saying these days the quality of the production is high, is top notch, and you can highly accept that Ugandans, Africa, Kenya, for example, look at Nigeria, South Africa. The quality of movies now being produced are very good, but then surprisingly, theaters are not putting them out there. What may be the challenge?
Now, this is what I think, and this is according to my observation over the years. I've been trying to. I also used to have such similar questions regarding what could be the reason, but then I realized the aspect of the authenticity and originality, which is really highly required. If you remember that movie called The Queen of Katwe, you see how it really made quite lots of. It was a very selling movie, but you know, that's why it's really saddening to me sometimes. You know, I don't know, but this is a Ugandan story. You know, Disney comes here to Uganda and they act our own very story, and yet we have producers that knew about this story, but probably they despised it. So we are trying to act storylines, trying to fit into the American kind of a standard or the westernization, but yet we cannot do it better than them. That's the greatest challenge we have. So if we have, and you know, you're going to be surprised if you saw quite lots of movies are going to come up in Uganda, and these are going to be storylines made by big movie companies, and they're going to gross big of our cultures, of our lifestyles, because we despise our lifestyle so many times, but yet that's the true source of inspiration. You know, I normally watch lots of plays on the different stations, but you get to realize that we are trying to copy a certain westernization. When it comes to love, we can't have the same love stories like them. I mean, we have a way we define love as the African cultures, as the African way. So movies is not about fiction. Movies is real life. I'll tell you that if you go deep and search most of the movies and you get to understand the inspirations, most of them are written books like Romeo and Juliet, Twilight. These are books. How many authors in Uganda have written books about our cultures, and actually those books are being tried to be made into actual movies? That's the reality, and that's where the money is. Yeah.
All right. And that is it for Bridget Andrew giving us more from the entertainment business, and we also had sports business earlier on as well. We do take a break, we return with more. Stick around.